Okay, so hi everyone again. So we are now on Module 4, Overview of Biomolecules for General Biochemistry. So, makikita nyo naman, medyo iba yung background natin, hindi na faculty room. I am currently recording sa room ko, and I don't have any recording device such as microphone. So, kung meron mang external noise, like kung may dumaan na tricycle or yung aso namin, medyo nagtahol-tahol sila, medyo ipagpaumanhin nyo na lang, no? So, we'll start with this. So, actually, this is for week 5 to 6, pero I felt that kaya natin to by just 1 week. And then we'll have a quiz after this discussion. So, on your own pace, sabay-sabay natin siyang aralin. So, just imagine this is a live lecture, no? So, in this lecture, we will be discussing about properties of biomolecules, types ng biomolecules. We have carbohydrates, proteins, lipids, and nucleic acids. So, properties of biomolecules muna tayo. First part. So, sabi, biomolecules are organic molecules, not fundamentally different from other typical organic molecules. They are the same type of molecules, react in the same ways, and obey same physical laws. So, for the composition and structure, so it is mainly carbon, forms 4 bonds. So, usually, di ba, ang 4 bonds natin is tetrahedral. And then, other important elements such as hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen, phosphorus, and sulfur. So, there are about blank elements required in biological systems. So, can you guess? Ilan kaya yon? Okay, so there are about 30 elements, no? They are typically larger than organic molecules. So, there are about 30 elements required in biological systems. So, the question is, does biomolecules have covalent or non-covalent bonds? So, ano bang pagkakaiba ng dalawa, no? Tandaan nyo pa ba? So, they are mostly non-covalent bonds. So, anong difference ng dalawa? So, yung covalent bonds natin, there is a sharing of electrons. So, kung natatandaan nyo before, ito yung isang atom. So, this is a hydrogen, no? And then, meron tayong isa pang hydrogen atom dito. So, yung valence electrons nila, they are shared. So, kung mapansin nyo, ganyan, no? In comparison with non-covalent, there are no sharing of electrons, but rather involves electromagnetic interactions between molecules or within a molecule. So, if I would zoom in here, oops, okay, so, okay, balik ko lang ng kaunti. Okay, so itong picture na to, makita nyo ba? This picture. Okay. So, sabi dito, wala siyang sharing of electrons, however, meron siyang interactions either outside or between molecules, no? So, this is water molecule, and then we have another water molecule here. There is electronegativity between oxygen and hydrogen. So, nagkaroon sila ng interaction doon, no? So, outside the cell yung non-covalent. Okay, so biomolecules are mostly non-covalent bonds. Thus, there are weaker bonds. Means their structures are more flexible. So, katulad ng picture dyan, so para silang non-covalently bonded. They are more interactive, they are more flexible. Kasi pag covalent bond, again, there is a shared electron. So, parang super close sila sa isa't isa, no? Ito ang covalent bond. Ang non-covalent bond, meron tayong molecule dito, and then parang meron lang silang light interaction. No? So, yan. So there are different types of biomolecules. So marami sila actually. Let me delete this. Okay, so how many types of biomolecules are there? In your own opinion, ilan kaya? Bigyan ko kayong 5 seconds to think about this. Okay, so there are about 4 biomolecules, 4 major. So meron tayong carbohydrates, lipid, protein, and nucleic acid. Pero meron ding kino-consider na other biomolecules. So meron tayong 7 actually. So yung carbohydrates, protein, lipids, nucleic acids, and then we also have enzymes, vitamins and minerals, and also hormones. So first, let's talk about sorry. Let's talk about carbohydrates, no? So carbohydrates, they are in the form of CH2O, and then yung N is napapalitan lang yung number niya, no? Dun sa baba. They are primarily produced by plants, so we all know this. And then there are polyhydroxyaldehydes and ketones. So some contain nitrogen, phosphorus, and sulfur. They are the most abundant type of biomolecule and the major source of energy in most organisms or in many organisms. So yan, most abundant type of biomolecule. And the next we have proteins. So it is the basis of structure and functions of life. It comes from the Greek word proteos, ibig sabihin prime importance or primary. It also contains carboxyl group, which is COOH, and meron siyang NH2 na kasama, no? So dito kanina si protein CHO. So ito, no, CHO. And then sa protein CHO, meron tayong carbohydrates, oxygen, and then hydrogen, and merong nitrogen, CHON. And then we also have the third one. Excuse me. Lipids. So if I ask you, are lipids water soluble or water insoluble? So malalaman natin yung sagot after this slide. So lipids are chemically more diverse than other groups. Ito yung tinatawag na isa sa mga energy storage molecules, and they also have hydrocarbon chains of ilan kaya. So tingnan din ulit natin after this slide. So, carbons plus one acid group. So, yun naman yung structure niya, no? They are made of fats and oils. So, yung other term doon sa fats and oils are lipids. So, lipids are water insoluble. So, ibig sabihin, ano yun? Pag water insoluble, hindi siya natutunaw sa tubig. Tama? Okay? And, there's 4 to 36 chains of hydrocarbons. Okay, the fourth type of biomolecule is nucleic acids. So, nucleic acids naman, ito yung nagbubuo sa, kung ano yung nakikita nyo dito sa inyong right side, which is yung DNA and RNA natin. So, nucleic acids, all cells have nucleic acids. They are responsible for heredity from chromosomes made of protein and nucleic acids. So, meron daw tayong dalawang types of nucleic acids, which is DNA and RNA. It says here, DNA stands for, ano nakalagay? Deoxyribonucleic acid, and then yung RNA is ribonucleic acid, no? And they are long-chain polymers of nucleotides, but they are also called polynucleotides. So, quick review. So, we have 4 major biomolecules. First is carbohydrates. Second is protein. Third is fat or lipids. And then fourth is nucleic acids. No? So, yan. Carbohydrates, protein, lipid, and nucleic acid. Okay, next we have enzymes. So, ito na yung mga minor biomolecules. So, yung enzymes natin, they are biocatalyst. Bio meaning life, and catalyst meaning to cut or to increase rate of chemical reactions. So, sila yan, no? Yung mga nagpapabilis daw ng chemical reactions. Enzymes. There are mostly globular proteins. So, when we say globular, ibig sabihin, in a shape that is round, such as this one, no? Globular. And then, specific enzyme for specific reaction and a particular substrate. So, kung makikita natin dito, no, we have a certain substrate, we have an enzyme, and then para silang puzzle piece. So, dito nagmula yung parang lock and key analogy na na-discuss natin nung first module. Their names are after the compounds which they work for. Yung names ending in A's. Next is vitamins and minerals. So, there are certain organic compounds that are required in small amounts. So, ang vitamins and minerals natin are called micronutrients because they are needed in small amounts, micro. So, ano pa nakalagay dito? In our diet, but their deficiency causes specific diseases. Vitamin comes from the word vital, amine. So, yung E was dropped later on because it was later discovered that most of them did not contain any amino groups. So, did you know that most of the vitamins cannot be synthesized in our body, but plants can synthesize almost all of them. Thus, meron tayong term na tinatawag na essential vitamins. Okay, another fun fact. So, did you know that bacteria of the gut can produce some of the vitamins that are required by the body? So, yung iba na hindi na produce ng katawan, we call it essential. So, next is we have minerals. We have the macro minerals and micro minerals. So, merong major and trace. Actually, meron tatlo. No? So, meron tayong main elements, main minerals. We have trace minerals and ultra trace minerals. So, yung iba, some are essential for reactions and processes in the body. Another trivia. So, the human body is composed of about 62% water, 1% carbohydrate, 16% protein, and 16% fat. So, we'll skip this slide. Okay, and our last biomolecule is hormones. So, they are intercellular messengers. So, kung makikita nyo dito, no, si Doraemon, if you know Doraemon, isa siyang messenger. Yung pusang messenger. Kaya nga siya, meron siyang, pag nagsalita si Doraemon, ang mahiwagang mensahe. So, yan. Hormones are kind of like Doraemon. They are intercellular messengers. They're produced by endocrine glands and are distributed in bloodstream, which becomes the site of action. It helps maintain balance of biological activities. So, etong hormones naman natin, we'll discuss about this in the next module. Kasi i-break ko into two yung module. Yung una natin pag-uusapan ngayon is carbohydrates, proteins, lipids and nucleic acids. And then in the next module, we'll talk about enzymes and hormones. Okay, so a closer look to the world. So, did you know na ang Thailand, it is also called as land of the free? No? So, bakit kaya? It could be also be because they are popular with transgenders. So, transgenders are widely accepted in Thai society. Yung term nila, which is katowi or katowi, it's a male to female term. No? Known for trans surgeries and injections. And meron silang tinatawag na anti-androgen hormonal injections. Kaya yung mga transgenders doon, yung mga gusto magpa-convert from male to female, yung hormone na androgen, it is, parang pinipigilang mag-produce nung injection na yan. No? So, yan. Okay. So, I know, medyo 16 minutes pa lang, pero kayang-kaya nyo to, no? So, next, we have carbohydrates. So, ito yung kanina. So, mas palalawakin lang natin, no? More on about carbohydrates. So, we'll skip this kasi parang review lang to. Again, carbohydrates, meron siyang CHO, yung kanyang structure, no? Okay, so there are major classes based on size. Meron tatlo. We have monosaccharides. So, sorry, there's a typo. This is mono. Okay, monosaccharides, oligosaccharides, and polysaccharides. So, let's compare the three. So, pag mono, they are the simplest sugars. And there are about 3 to 7 carbons plus isang aldehyde or ketone group. So, again, simplest sugar, mono. And then 3 to 7 carbons plus one aldehyde or ketone group. On the other hand, oligosaccharides. Sa oligo naman, there are about 2 to 10 na monosaccharides. So, pinagsama-samang simplest sugar, yung oligosaccharides. And then, yung third natin is polysaccharides. They are very large. In here, there are about hundreds or thousands of monosaccharides. Yung term na saccharon, from, ito, diba, saccharide, may na ano kayo. Yung word na saccharon actually means sugar. Okay, so let's talk about monosaccharides, the simplest sugars. So they are white solids, water soluble, and sweet taste, often named with the suffix -ose, no? Can be classified as an aldose or ketose. So, for example, so general term, depende kung ilan ng number of atoms. Tulad nga ng sinabi ko kanina, monosaccharides have 3 to 7 carbons. So, pag siya ay in general term, triose, ito monosaccharide, we're talking about monosaccharides. So, type ko dito. Monosaccharide. Okay? So, pag tatlo siya, triose. And then, 4 tetrose, pentose, hexose, heptose. Pag siya ay merong aldehyde na kasama, aldotriose, and then lalagyan nyo lang ng aldo sa start, sa unahan. Pag ketone naman, merong keto sa unahan. So, you don't have to memorize this. These are just, I just want you to know some examples. So, another part of monosaccharides. So, sabi nga, diba, lahat na may ose sa dulo ng name. So, we have glucose. We have 3 major monosaccharides. Glucose, fructose, and galactose. Yung tatlong yan ang pinakamahalaga nyong matandaan. Okay? Glucose, fructose, and galactose. So, glucose, it is the most abundant monosaccharide. Okay, monosaccharide. They're most abundant monosaccharide. They are mainly made by plants and meron siyang other name. Blood sugar or dextrose. Glucose. Okay? It is one of the body's preferred sources of fuel. So, kaya nga diba minsan pag nagpapacheck tayo ng if you have a family member, relative with diabetes, so magpapacheck sila ng blood glucose, no? So it's a body's preferred source of fuel. Another name niya, blood sugar. Next is fructose. So ito naman, we call it fruit sugar. It is a simple ketonic monosaccharide present in fruits, fruit juices, some vegetables, and honey. It is a natural sweetener. So, kung familiar kayo with HFCS, also called as high fructose corn syrup. So, ito ay madalas nyong makikita sa mga soft drinks or mga sugar-sweetened beverages. High fructose corn syrup. There are studies that says na medyo delikado daw. Makikita yun din sa picture na to, diba? May parang toxic pag napadami yung high fructose corn syrup. Delikado daw siya sa health, no? That's why yung iba pag napapasobra talaga sa soft drinks, medyo nagiging delikado yung glucose level nila. So there are studies, no? You can look online. Next major type ng monosaccharide is galactose, which is a milk sugar. So they're only found in milk. Same elements as glucose and fructose but different arrangement. It is commonly found in disaccharide as lactose. So milk sugar. So we already have blood sugar or dextrose, which is yung una natin, yung glucose. We have fruit sugar, which is yung fructose. And now we have the milk sugar, galactose, no? So if we look at their structures, so I'm gonna zoom this again. If we look at the structure of these three, so i-compare muna natin yung sa glucose and fructose. So, parang obvious naman, ano, na yung pagkakaiba nila. Right? Medyo nawala lang yung hydroxide dito sa side na to. Tama ba? Ayan. And then, dito kasi sa fructose, wala rin siyang dalawa yung kanyang CH2CH. Dito kasi parang ito lang yung CH2OH. Okay, so if we compare glucose and galactose, ito daw si glucose. So yung may red. And then look at the difference with galactose. Yan lang yung pinagkaiba nila. No, imagine nag-flip lang yung hydroxide and then yung hydrogen dito sa side na to. So yan, no? So, next. So, we're done with monosaccharides. So, nasa carbohydrates pa lang tayo. So, with, now we move on to oligosaccharides, which is about 2 to 10 monosaccharides. So, saan naman importante ang ating oligosaccharides? It is important for cell recognition and cell binding. It is used in foods and pharmaceutical industries. So, for example, so, di ba nga, kanina na-discuss na natin yung 3 major types ng ating monosaccharides, which is glucose, fructose, and galactose. Now, we will talk about oligosaccharides. So, dito, sa oligosaccharides, marami tayo, no? Meron tayong tinatawag na disaccharide, trisaccharide, tetra, penta. So, pinagkakaiba lang nila is the number of carbon atoms. So, for example, we have maltose here. It's a combination of 2 glucose. So, glucose plus glucose, maltose. Pag pinagsama mo naman ng glucose and galactose, we have lactose. Glucose plus fructose, we have sucrose. And then, so on. No? So, dito, ang kailangan nyo lang matandaan, itong tatlo. We have maltose, lactose, and sucrose. No? Okay. So, again, yan na. Okay, so, comparing monosaccharide with disaccharide. Disaccharide is a type of oligosaccharide. So, we have glucose, blood sugar, no? Dextrose, we have fructose, a fruit sugar, galactose, milk sugar. Sa disaccharides, we have sucrose. Ano nga ulit ang sucrose? Combination of what? Sucrose is a combination of glucose and fructose. Okay? Glucose and fructose. Pinagsama nitong dalawa, sucrose. And then, we have lactose, a combination of glucose and galactose. Maltose, on the other hand, is a combination of 2 glucose. So, yung maltose natin, ito yung sugar that we find in beer products. Malt, no? Malt. Okay. Next type ng ating carbohydrate is polysaccharide. So, ito yung hundreds and thousands of monosaccharides. And it is used in foods and pharmaceutical industries. Glycans, tinatawag rin siyang glycans. And its role is to help store the energy we gain from consuming food. So, for example, ayan yung meron tayong chain to ng glucose molecules. So, kung mapapansin nyo, ang starch is an example of a polysaccharide. Yung isang maliit na yan, yung maliliit na butil, no? Structure of a starch, yan yun. Pag zoom in mo, para siyang, yan yung mga glucose molecules. So, ito ang hundreds and thousands yan. Imagine, napaka daming glucose niya. So, starch is an example of a storage molecule. Yan. So, we have examples here of polysaccharides. So, hindi lang siya basta for food. No? So, meron tayong dalawang classes under polysaccharide. We have homo polysaccharide and we have hetero. Hetero to guys ha. Hetero polysaccharide. So, let's start one by one with homo and polysaccharide. Bakit bumaba yung screen? Ay, sorry. Oh. Okay. Let's scroll this down. Okay. So, we have starch, yung una natin. We have starch here. Ang starch is used mostly by plants. Okay, please take note itong mga sasabihin ko. Starch is used mostly by plants as energy storage, no? So, in a form of amylose or amylopectin. So, familiar with the terms pectin. So, pectin, ito yung mga nakakapagpalapot sa mga fruit jams natin, di ba? So, yeah. So, next is we have dextrin. So, yung dextrin naman natin, ito yung, kung makikita nyo sa picture, ay, sorry. Let's go back with starch pala, no? So, ang starch kasi may iba't iba siyang examples. So, or sources, sorry. We have cornstarch. Familiar with cornstarch. So, ang source niya is corn. So, di ba pampalapot siya? So, yan, we have potato starch. We have cassava starch, and so on. So, next is, we have dextrin. So, kung makikita nyo yung picture dito, no? It's a comparison between a chicken nuggets, without dextrine and with dextrine. So, anong nangyari? Mas crispy. So, dextrine is crispiness enhancer sa food processing. For sure, I am sure na ang mga chicken joy natin or McDo chicken, yung mga sobrang crispy talaga, meron silang added na dextrine in a certain amount. So, yeah, interesting to know. Next, we have glycogen. So, kung kanina, meron tayong energy storage sa plants, which is yung sa starch. Glycogen naman is the one that is used by animals as energy storage. Glycogen. So, we'll look into this pag nagkaroon na tayo sa metabolism part. Sa ano pa yon, lecture pa sa mga susunod na linggo pa. Okay, next we have cellulose. So, ang cellulose naman is makikita nyo sa cell walls, di ba? And then, we have inulin. So, inulin naman is a fructan, no? So, ito ay chains of fructose, ang inulin natin. And it is also a prebiotic, which alam naman natin lahat na ang prebiotics are, it improves gastrointestinal health. Yan. Okay, next natin, we have heteropolysaccharides. So, if you're familiar with this term, kung kayo ay nagbabasa ng mga beauty products, ganyan-ganyan. So, usong-uso na ngayon yung hyaluronic acid, which sabi nila is, ang main function niya is to retain water in tissues, no, for glowy skin. So, kung makikita nyo, may picture dyan ng Korean. So, for glowy skin. So, meron tayong alpha hyaluronic acid, meron ding beta. So, yun yung mas familiar kayo with AHA and BHA. Yan. So, next is we have heparin. So, yung heparin natin, if you're familiar with this, kung may kakilala kayong relative, it is an anticoagulant. So, isa siyang blood thinner. And it also prevents blood clotting. Yan, sa heparin. Okay, next is chondroitin sulfate. Chondroitin sulfate. Kung mapapansin nyo, ito yung picture natin. So, you will find this in cartilage around joints. So, yung mga joints natin, in between the bones, meron tayong tinatawag na cartilage, no? So, it is manufactured from shark or cow, yung chondroitin sulfate. And it is a product used. Studies have found that it is, it can heal mostly osteoarthritis, yung sa buto nga, osteoarthritis, and yung katarata. No? Okay, next we have dermatan sulfate, and we also have keratan sulfate. So, hindi ito yung keratin na sa pambuhok, no? So, keratan sulfate is mostly found in cornea of the eyes and tendons. So, yan. Ang daming examples actually. Hindi lang yan yung example natin of polysaccharides. Madami pang iba. So, eto, we have CHO again. Yan ang structure ng ating carbohydrates. CHO, no? Mostly. Okay, next we have proteins. So, ito yung kanina. Again, proteins comes from the word proteos. Proteos, which means primary or prime importance. It contains carboxyl group, COOH, and an amino group, NH2. So, ito din pala yun, no? Okay, so, we have several terms that we have to discuss here. So, we have this term amino acids, which is the building block of proteins. So, it's made up of one or more amino acids. So, yung term na polypeptide is a long chain of amino acid, and peptide bond is the chemical linkage between amino acids. So if we compare the terms, no, I like this type na nag-iisip tayo ng mga pwedeng i-compare with. So ang amino acid, no, if you see this train, so meron silang kanya-kanyang, how do you call this? Like merong sa A, sa B, sa C, etc. So each one here, kada isang ganito doon is an amino acid. So, the whole train itself is called a polypeptide kasi chain siya ng amino acid. And then, the one that's linking them, so yan yung nakikita nyo sa screen, is the peptide bond. No? So, parang that's how I want to compare it. So, its functions ng protein natin, structural and metabolic roles, such as sa enzymes as a catalyst, tulad ng sinabi ko kanina. Ang catalyst natin is the one that speeds up the reaction. So, protein-based hormones regulate anabolic and catabolic reaction. So, for example, is this picture right here. So, kung mapapansin nyo, without catalyst, so ito yung rate ng reaction sa time. So, matagal. Yan. And with so much effort, yung without catalyst, without enzyme. And then with a catalyst, with the help of an enzyme, parang chill lang, no? Parang pinush lang niya yung bato. Yan. So yun ang role ng isang enzyme. Okay, so anong mga example ng types and functions of protein? So, i-zoom ko ulit to. So, we have hormonal, such as sa insulin. We have an antibody. Yan. We have an antibody, immunoglobulin. We have for transport, such as hemoglobin, found in red blood cells. We have, for example, an enzyme, as a storage, yung ferritin natin sa blood. And then, what else? Yung tinatawag na spider silk sa structural. Hindi siya literal na spider, guys. No? Tinawag lang siya spider silk. We have rhodopsin as a receptor, actin and myosin. So, for contractions sa muscles naman yun. Okay. Alright, let's move on to next. Okay, so how many common amino acids are there? So there are 20 amino acids. So this you don't really have to know. Ang gusto ko lang malaman nyo dito yung essential and non-essential, no? Okay, so if I know, no, ang alam ko kasi talaga there are 9 essential. However, merong mga readings na nagsasabi na there are 10 na essential, merong 10 na non-essential. So, ito yun sila. So, kung familiar kayo with arginine, histidine, isoleucine, etc. So, yan yung mga essential amino acids. We also have non-essential amino acids. Yung nandito sa column na to. So, ayan. Oo nga. So, ito na lang sundin natin itong slide na to, no guys? We have 9 essential na amino acids, namely this. So, pag sinabi kong essential, hindi siya nasi-synthesize ng katawan natin. Thus, you have to get it from the outside source, such as the food. So, ito, we have threonine, histidine, tryptophan, methionine, phenylalanine, lysine. And meron tayong tatlong common, which is valine, leucine, isoleucine. So, they're included in protein that forms the muscles, and they account for 30 to 40% of essential amino acids. So, imagine itong tatlo lang, very important to know kasi major ng essential amino acids sila na yung nagko-compose. And then, ito yung non-essential amino acids natin. So, pag sinabing non-essential, ibig sabihin, hindi mo na kailangan kumuha ng outside source kasi nasisynthesize na siya within the body. So, all amino acids are required for body growth since essential amino acids cannot be synthesized within the body. They have to be consumed in the form of food. Okay, so peptides are named according to amino acid components. So, ito important, no? Like, katulad nung sinabi ko sa kanina, no? We compare amino acids such as the train. So, napapangalanan daw ang peptide natin according to amino acid chain. So, for example, dito we have alanine. Ano ba itong GLN? Let's go back lang dun sa slide. Glycine. Is this glycine? GLN. Glutamine, etc. Okay, never mind. So, we have this chain of amino acid. Meron tayong tinatawag na N-terminal and C-terminal. So, yung N-terminal is yung parang front ng ating train. So, beginning with an N-terminal and yung ending with C-terminal. Yung end ng train naman to, yung C-terminal. So, for example, ito yung ating amino acid chain. Ang N-terminal natin dyan is which amino acid? Okay, we have alanine as an N-terminal, no? Kung ano yung nasa unahan. And ang C-terminal natin is yung nasa likod, which is lysine. Okay? So, N-terminal and C-terminal, amino acid sequence or combination is important and crucial. So, bakit? Kasi yung sequence niya is prerequisite for a three-dimensional structure ng protein and for molecular mechanism. And maraming inherited diseases can cause mutations na nag-change ng amino acid change in protein. So, for example niyan, no? Okay, so ito yung important din dito. Different sequencing or different sequencing ng amino acid natin results in different functions will result to malfunction. So, for example, we have this thing called phenylketonuria. It is a defect in gene that helps create phenylalanine hydroxylase. So, dito, yung mga tao na, yung mga tao na merong phenylketonuria, so, sa gene nga to, defect, no? They are unable to break down the amino acid called phenylalanine. So, nangyayari, nagkakaroon ng build-up ng phenylalanine in the body. So, tingnan nyo yung nagiging itsura niya, no? So, pwede kang magkaroon ng mood disorder, paulit-ulit na vomiting, merong jerking movements of arms and legs, so, yung parang nanginginig, tremors, and tingnan nyo yung itsura, microcephaly. So, in terms of diet, yung mga persons with this disease, phenylketonuria, so bawal sila sa foods that are high in phenylalanine. So, such as meat, fish, eggs, milk, cheese, what else? Nuts, soda, yun. So, sila low protein foods lang kasi nga hindi nila kayang i-breakdown yung phenylalanine. Okay? Ay, sorry, yung, tama, phenylalanine. So, other amino acid disorders. So, we have, using a urinary screening test, malalaman kung ano, no. So, for example, ito, phenylketonuria. So, yung kanyang hindi niya kayang i-breakdown ng phenylalanine, tyrosiluria, hindi niya kayang breakdown ng tyrosine, and so on. So, we have this very interesting, yung maple syrup urine disease, MSUD. So, ito yung natural, normal na urine. And then, yung maple syrup disease urine, ganito yung color nung kanyang urine. So, parang maple syrup. So, yan. So, halos lahat sila, no? Halos lahat ng to is may kinalaman sa urine. Yung effect niya. Okay, other proteins na important. We have myoglobin. So, ito yung iron-containing protein in muscle and give meat its color. So, myoglobin. So, di ba ang red meat and white meat. So, if you will compare beef with chicken, mas mataas ang myoglobin ng beef kasi mas reddish ang beef. And then we have chymotrypsin. It is a digestive enzyme for proteins in smooth intestine. So, chymotrypsin. So, di ba pag ngumuya ka, so yun yung enzyme na pag dumiretso sa smooth intestine. We have lysozyme. So, ito is the protein that you will see sa tears nyo, saliva, sweat, and other fluids. We have alpha-keratin. So, if you're familiar, sa hair, sa wool, feathers, nails, skin, horns, etc. We also have beta-keratin, which is makikita nyo sa silk and spider webs. So, mas thin siya. Collagen is important protein that you will find in tendons and cartilage. And we have this elastin. Sorry. We have elastin. Okay, we have elastin, which is a connective tissue. Okay, let's go back. Okay, sa protein naman natin, we have CHON, yung kanyang structure. So, kung kanina si carbohydrate natin, CHO, dito naman is merong CHON, which is yung amino group natin dito sa tabi. And then, itong R group, ito yung napapalitan ng kahit anong substituent. No? So, we have carboxylic acid group. Okay, last part ng ating discussion for now lang. And then the next will be continued sa module 5, I guess. We have lipids. So, dito, again, lipids are water insoluble. They are chemically more diverse than other groups. So, ang structure naman nito, we have a fatty acid. And then we have glycerol. So, ito yung isa pang itsura niya, no? We have a glycerol here and fatty acids to. So, kung titignan natin closely here, we have a phospholipid bilayer. So, dito, mapapansin nyo merong hydrophobic tail and hydrophilic head. So, when we say hydrophobic tail, ibig sabihin, water-hating, or parang water-fearing, water-fearing tail. So, ayaw nila sa tubig. And then, we have hydrophilic head, which is water-loving naman yan. So, there are main types of lipids. We have triglycerides. So, kung mapapansin nyo, ito yung itsura niya. We have phospholipids. So, meron lang dalawang tail. And we have steroids and waxes, which are very complex structures. So, again, may tatlo, triglycerides, phospholipids, and steroid waxes. So, we also have these lipids as fats and oils. Actually, medyo sobrang broad yung discussion natin about this. Kasi, ang complex kasi ng lipids talaga. So, we have unsaturated, monounsaturated, and polyunsaturated. When we say unsaturated, so dire-diretso lang siya, walang double bonds. Monounsaturated, we only have one double bond. And then polyunsaturated, more than one double bond. So, ang terminology natin dito, fatty acids, yung component and building block of many types of lipids. So, kanina ang building block ng proteins natin ay, ano bang building blocks ng proteins natin? Building blocks of proteins natin ay amino acid, and then for lipids, we have fatty acids. And then sa ating building block ng ating glucose ay monosaccharides. Okay? So, kung mapapansin natin, ito yung difference ng structure. So, pag saturated, dire-diretso lang siya. Unsaturated, meron lang double bond. And then, yung trans, di ba meron tayong cis and trans configuration? So, kung natatandaan nyo, I'm not sure if naturo ko siya ng organic, yung configuration between a cis and trans. So, dito, ang cis, parang yung both ng hydrogen niya is going up like that. And then, for trans is baliko, no? So, medyo naka-side siyang ganon. Kung mapapansin nyo here, ito, at saka ito. Right? So, yan yung trans, and then cis. So, how you will remember this? Di ba pag cis mo, high five tayo. Ayan. So, in double bond, we have a double bond, and then carbon-carbon, and then nakaganon yung dalawa. No? And then trans, medyo bumaliko ng kaunti. So, cis, parang high five. Yan. Okay? So, most fatty acids have given common names and are described by numbering system. So, for example, yung palmitic acid natin, meron yung 16 yung carbon niya. Sa stearic acid, 18 yung carbon. And then, oleic acid, 18 carbon. And then, may isang double bond. So, yun yung ibig sabihin nun. And then, for others, for example, dito merong 20 na carbons, 4 na double bond. So, mapapansin nyo, 1, 2, 3, 4. So, dito sa oleic acid, meron tayong 18 na carbons, and then isa lang yung double bond. Sorry, ito pala. Kanina ko pa tinuturo. Okay, so, may isang double bond. Okay, so, we have here in our slide, a simplified chart of lipid. So, simplified na yan, ano? Simplified na daw to. So, we have fatty acids, glycerides, non-glycerides, and more complex derivatives. We'll discuss this one by one. So, first, we have fatty acids. So, ito yun, yung red. Fatty acids here. So, we have saturated and unsaturated. So, ito na yung diniscuss natin na ang unsaturated, so again, di ba, saturated, dire-diretso lang siya. Ang unsaturated, meron tayong dalawa, which is monounsaturated and polyunsaturated. Ang difference lang niyan, sa monounsaturated, may isang double bond. Sa polyunsaturated, maraming double bond. Okay? So, for example, so ito yung, let's focus on just this. Sa fatty acids natin, we have saturated fats and unsaturated fats. So, saturated fats, if you look at the examples, we have vegetable fats and animal fats, such as coconut, palm oil, ano tong, hindi ko mabasa. 2-in-1 beverages, creamer, condensed milk, and what else? Sa animal fats, we have poultry skin, chicken skin yan, fatty meat, butter, ghee, tallow or lard, and then full cream dairy products, etc. So, sa unsaturated naman, we have polyunsaturated and monounsaturated. So, examples ng polyunsaturated, we have corn oil, soybean oil, sunflower oil, seeds, cold water fish, and then sa monounsaturated, zoom na natin. Sa monounsaturated, we have olive oil, canola oil, peanut oil, sesame oil, avocado, and most of the nuts. So what can you observe with these two? Saturated and unsaturated. Ano napansin niyo sa dalawa? Bakit yung isa may X, no? Like, it doesn't mean na hindi nyo siya pwedeng kainin. It's just that mas prefer nila yung unsaturated. So, bakit kaya? What do you observe from based sa examples? So, for example, dito sa saturated, poultry skin, no? Chicken skin, butter, dairy products, comparing with unsaturated na sunflower oil, seeds, nuts, avocado, etc. So, ito, ang ating saturated fats, they are mostly solid at room temperature. And then, etong unsaturated fats, they are mostly liquid in room temperature. And ito, no, ang source niya mostly ay plant-based. If you compare it with saturated fats, ito more on animal-based, katulad nito, chicken skin, dairy, etc. So, yan. We also have here trans fats. So, ito talaga yung medyo hindi recommended, such as meron siyang hydrogenated vegetable oils coming from fast foods, cakes, pastries, chocolate, deep fried food. So, kung alin yung paborito, yun pa yung mataas yung trans fats, right? Kung alin yung masarap. Yeah. Okay, next we have glycerides. So, tapos na tayo with the red one. So, again, yung fatty acids natin here. We have saturated and unsaturated. So, under unsaturated, we have monounsaturated and polyunsaturated. Ang difference ng dalawa ay, yung monounsaturated, isang double bond. Polyunsaturated, dalawa yung double bond. So, next we have glycerides. So, dito meron tayong monoglycerides, diglycerides, triglycerides, and phospholipids. So, under triglycerides, meron tayong fats and oils. So, ito na. Malalaman natin anong difference nung dalawa. So, I will just zoom this. So, ang difference nung dalawa, so, sa triglycerides, ang fats natin, pag yung term na ginamit mo ay fat, it is solid at room temperature. Pag ginamit mo ay oil, liquid at room temperature. Okay? So, pag tinanong ko kayo sa quiz, what's the difference between fats and oils? So, napakasimple lang no sagot, no? Yung isa doon is solid at room temperature, yung isa ay liquid at room temperature. So, next we have non-glycerides. So, tapos na tayo sa red and sa green. We have blue. Non-glycerides, so we have two. We have sterols and others. So, sa sterols natin, we have cholesterol, steroid hormones, ito yung mga estrogen, testosterone, progesterone, and etc. So, let's talk about cholesterol, no, real quick. Just a trivia. So, ito yung makikita natin sa taas. So, ito yung National Cholesterol Education Program Cholesterol Guidelines. So, yung desirable nating total cholesterol level is less than 200. Borderline ay 200 to 239. And then, considered high na siya pag more than 240. So, pag meron kayong relative na nagpa-check, so yan yung kanyang guideline. So, just to let you know kung ano nangyayari. So, let's just say, ito yung blood vessel natin, right? So, pag nagkaroon ka ng cross-section with that, ang cholesterol natin, sumisingit yan, no? Diyan sa mga veins natin, sa blood vessel. So, ito yung normal. let me just, Okay, ang healthy vessel, ganyan siya, no? So, pag nagkaroon ng fatty streak, yung lipids, so, numinipis yung opening doon sa vessel natin. And then, pag nagkaroon ng fatty plaque, as in talagang total blockage na siya, yung complicated na plaques, pwedeng magkaroon ng rupture doon sa blood vessel mismo. Kaya nangyayari yung tinatawag nating hypertension, right? Itong picture na to. So, nangyayari kasi, di ba? Paano nangyayari? So, hypertension, kaya tinatawag siyang hypertension, tumataas yung blood pressure. Bakit? Kasi kung yung opening ng blood vessel natin dito, nagkakaroon ng blockage, imagine parang yun sa, sa hose, sa water hose. Pag merong blockage doon, pag tinakpan nyo, di ba pag tinatakpan yung dulo ng hose, so let's just say, example, ito yung dulo ng hose, pag tinatakpan nyo siya, mas tumataas yung pressure, di ba? Nung labas nung tubig doon. So, same lang din halos nung ganito. So, pag meron yung blockage ng cholesterol, tumataas yung BP, blood pressure. So, for example, ito yung normal. Yung normal, pero too much blood coming in, tsaka nagiging high. Now, ito yung normal naman, pero too narrow, yung nadadaanan niya, tumataas din yung BP. So, kaya high cholesterol levels can lead to hypertension, aka high BP. No? So, actually, ang leading cause of death is heart disease. So, pag nagkakaroon ng complications, especially sa heart, sa cholesterol din, affected ang heart, no? Okay. So, other derivatives, meron tayong glycolipids, lipoproteins, and others. So, yung sa lipoproteins naman, ito yung LDL, VLDL, HDL. So, pag nagpapa-blood chemistry kayo, meron kayong makikita dun sa baba, aside from cholesterol, meron ding LDL, HDL, etc. So, sinasabi nila na itong process na to, ipapakita ko lang sa inyo kung paano nangyayari. Yung chylomicron, ito yung isa, transforms into VLDL. And then, yung VLDL, later on, magiging LDL siya. And then, pag nagkaroon ng good process, yung iba, tumutuloy ng HDL. And then, yung others, nag-i-stay as LDL. So, ang HDL, sabi dito, by the way, ang ibig sabihin yan ay high density lipoprotein. Lipo coming from lipid and then pinagsama siyang lipid and protein kaya naging lipoprotein. So, high density lipoprotein yung ating HDL. Sabi, I am the good, happy cholesterol and my job is to help your arteries and clear and free of plaques. So, yung LDL naman natin, yung low. So, lalagay ko dito na lang sa tabi. Yung low, I am the bad, lethal. So, nakakamatay, cholesterol, and I form plaques in your arteries, causing them to harden and narrow. So, ganito yung itsura niya, cholesterol in the arteries. Yung LDL, yung red natin, it releases the cholesterol, no? So, yan yung nagre-release yung mga yellow dyan na tuldok, yun yung cholesterol. And then, meanwhile, yung good cholesterol, HDL, siya yung nagpipick up ng cholesterol para ma-dispose na siya sa katawan, no? So, ito yung ibang table you can use for lipids. Okay, so good to know. So, we have what we call ketogenic diet. So, very ito ay very, very popular especially sa weight loss. Kasi, effective siya in a short term. However, in a long-term diet, hindi recommended ang ketogenic diet. So, anong meron sa ketogenic diet? When you are consuming very low carbohydrate intake and high fat intake. So, dito, ang nangyayari, ang fat mo, it is composed of, yung diet mo, composed of 90% fat and then the rest is carbohydrate or protein. So, imagine, let's just say 5% carbohydrate, 5% protein. Yun talaga ang ketogenic diet. So, ang nangyayari, kaya siya effective with weight loss. However, yun nga, hindi talaga siya recommended for a long term. You're drastically reducing carbohydrate intake. So, ang nangyayari, yung energy source mo, nare-replace na ng fat. Kasi, ang huling gagamitin ng iyong katawan when you are really starving is yung muscle. Huling-huli ang muscle for energy, no? Ang next nang i-target, pag naubusan ka na ng carbohydrate sa katawan mo or for glycogen mo is for storage lang talaga siya, next nang ita-target niyan is fat. So, ang katawan mo, you're going under metabolic state of ketosis. So, yun, no? Ketosis. So, yan. Actually, ang ketogenic diet, it is prescribed with patients with anong tawag dito sa sakit na to? Patients with epileptic patients. Kasi nangyayari, di ba, sa kanila, sa neurons, yung kanila, di ba? So, yung neurotransmitters nila, nangyayari, ang ginagawa ng fat is kino-coat niya yung neurotransmitters para ma-freeze temporarily para hindi sila manginig, 'di ba? Ang epileptic patient is sobrang nanginginig sila pagka ganun. So, yun ang pini-prescribe talaga to epileptic patients, no? So, few announcements, okay? So, this week, actually, this should be this week. This week. Or kayo ba, when do you prefer this? Feeling ko kailangan na nating this week talaga to para ma-require kayo na panoodin yung lecture, hindi yung parang bastang nag-effort ako na gawin yung PowerPoint, gawin yung recording, and then alam mo yun, parang tatamadin lang kayong panoodin to. So, I feel like we deserve a long quiz. So, about Module 4 only, about what we've discussed only. And maybe around 20 to 30 items lang to, madali lang. And online siya. So, you can use your notes you can use your notes, pero kasi, di ba, parang you're lying to yourself kung talagang may natutunan ka. So, instructions will be uploaded through Google Classroom and quiz will have a timer and can only be accessed at a given time. So, ito ay this week. Okay? This week. So, ito yung schedule natin. So, section BSFT 2A. Tuesday, 9 to 12, ma-access nyo yung quiz nyo. And then, 2B, Tuesday, 1 to 4 p.m. And then, 2C, you will get access Wednesday, 7 to 10 a.m. And what else? On week 7, which is November 16 to 20. Tama ba? Okay, that's next week. I'm not sure if I will be discussing na agad yung ating Biomolecules Part 2. Maybe I'll extend this to week 7 to 8. Yung about nucleic acids, enzymes, and hormones. Kasi, we will have a wellness break ng November 19 to 20. So, walang pasok nun. So, maybe I'll extend this. So, after nun, we will have our exam na. So, midterm exam, after natin ma-discuss tong Module 5. No? So, ayun lang. If you have questions, message me directly. You can email me. You can connect with me through Messenger and through Google Classroom during weekdays only, 8 to 5 p.m. No? Ayun lang. Thank you for listening. I hope you finish this video lecture. And paki-screenshot po ito. During lab hours naman natin to. No? So, kayang-kaya nyong madali lang yung quiz, no? If you just listen to what I've discussed, madali lang siya. Okay? So, I'll close this now.